know what they want, and then come back to the table and, if possible, implement, if 100%, and if not, at least 50% and above. And that will be our focus on this mini interview, on this edition of the program. I want to look at bridging the gap between government and the governed. So many gaps have been created. So how do we bridge such gaps? And so we have found it necessary to bring these two gentlemen to be on the program this morning. To my immediate right is Dr. LEKAN OKETOKUN, a lecturer with the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic. You're welcome to the program.
My pleasure. Good morning.
And of course, to complement him is a socio-political philosopher and entrepreneur, and of course somebody who is so passionate about the Nigerian project, Alhaji Ola ANIMASHAUN. You're also welcome to the program.
It's nice to be here once again.
All right, and my colleague is also here. I'm not alone because I can't handle the two men successfully, or let me say I won't be able to exhaust them for the next 1 hour. So I have Mojisola Sholaja with us.
Good morning, all.
All right, thank you. So let me begin from Dr. OKETOKUN. Now, so much has been said about government. When people get to government, there is these programs and projects are not well articulated, not well taken to the public view so that people can know what government is doing. What do you think government is doing here that is not doing right, that they need to correct so that they can engage citizens more and possibly forestall issues of strike, issues of protest and the likes of that?
Well, thank you very much. I think the first thing is that the people in government, they must first of all understand the role of government in any given society. And that's the way to start. Many a time, you'll discover that once people become public office holders, they seem to forget why they are there. What role does government play in people's life? Because government is supposed to serve the people, to be the people's comfort, to provide for their needs in terms of fiber, water, the basic necessities of life. And if those in leadership positions, in public office, appreciate that, then they know they must also understand that they need to engage the people, to communicate with the people, to fill their pulse, to ensure that what they are doing whilst in office is what the people want. Now, the attempt by people in government to assume that they know what the people want. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. The important thing is, do people actually want those things you want to provide for them? Do people really need it? Because it is not enough for you to copy something that you saw somewhere. It may not be talking of taking technology to the grassroots. What kind of technology are you taking to the grassroots? The kind of technology you take to the grassroots should be different, because in the local, in the hinterlands, they are basically farmers. So if you are taking technology there, for example, because we are in a technological age, it must be something that will facilitate agriculture at that local level, as different from what you provide for people in the main cities. So these are some of the things that government must begin to do to ensure that there is no disconnect. Because it is not enough, as I've said, for you to assume for them. It is enough for you to, it is also very important for you to engage them. And this is where you need to have some town hall meetings with them. Okay. You understand me? So they present their needs, and then you agree on how to go about it. The people must take ownership of that thing you want to implement for them. Because sometimes government provides certain things, and when people don't take ownership of them, you see those things being vandalized, those things not satisfying the people, and then they stand and look, they say, oh, government has come to with their own abracadabra. They have not engaged us. We don't even know like you are citing something somewhere, people are not very aware of the existence of that thing. And even when they are aware, you know how people, when government places an infrastructure somewhere, infrastructure that is not road, for example, sometimes a lien in quote is put on the use of those facilities. You put a water project somewhere this month, and you say you are coming to commission it, and 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you have not come to commission it. So at the end of the day, it becomes something that people just look at like that.
And not having access to it.
So those are things that cause some of the problems. And today, let me also say that we live in a rapidly changing society environment. Things are changing so fast. The Internet of Things has made things to be very, very dynamic. Before, government can afford to hide so many things. Today, it is not so. Everybody has access to one form of, even people in the village have access to what government is doing, how government is doing it, and what the currents on those things they are doing are.
Okay, that means that the bridge exists.
Yes.
Both the government and the government are not making use of it should be.
Yes, there is that bridge. That bridge.
Okay, I like you, ANIMASHAUN. Democracy has defined all over the world is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, I know for sure in Ogun that when this administration came on board, the present one, the current administration, before preparing the yearly budget, they engaged citizens across the 4 zones of the state, the 3 geopolitical zones, to collate inputs from them. Now, what could have happened that the nationwide protests are still ongoing, that will end by August 10, had to come up in the first place? Is it that the communication gap has broken down in such a way that the government is not hearing from the people, or the people refuse to let government know what they want?
You see, there are about 3 dimensions to it, and he has rightly analyzed it. Thank you very much. You see, the first thing is communication, which he has hammered on seriously. Communication between the government and the governed. And it comes not only in terms of what you are telling the people, but in terms of feedback mechanism that cuts across for both sides. The issue of communication is there. The issue of participation or participatory governance is also there. That is from the people. And the issue of responsible and responsive governance is also there. When we are talking of communication, before people get to power in a democracy, they engage the citizenry. They are able to convince them from all ramifications that we can do this, we can provide this, we can provide that. Of course, mostly it's all about what, not the how. Mostly when they engage the people pre-election, it is the promises of the good deeds that will come, the dividends of democracy that could easily come in. But how they would deliver it, they will not be able to say at that material time, or they may not want to say it, or the people themselves are not willing to ask them, how are you going to do it? That's number 1 issue. Number 2 is participatory governance. By the time they get to power, mostly the citizenry just abandon them and say, oh, they are there already, they can do it, they should do it. We trust them. Not knowing that the power that those you put in that office are going to utilize or are utilizing, the sovereignty of that power resides with the people that put them in that desk. They didn't drop from heaven on that seat. So when you put them in power, you must compulsorily look into the usage of that office, the power they're going to use to superintend over you at all times, not just for a brief period of time, till the termination period of that government that you put there. That mostly our people seem to be like a Jessica. We assume that they will do it. Then when you now get your change, perhaps because there is no responsible or responsive governance that is being done, then you tend to cry, shout, agitate. And at the end of the day, it leads to something like this crisis we have in our hands now. And then who do you blame? We have everybody to blame. We have everybody to blame. When you get to power, whatever it is that you are going to venture into in terms of policy formulation, because you have to put in the policy first before it gets to real actualization in governance. If your policy does not evolve from the bottom up, from the root, then you are likely going to have problems. It is not what you think is good for the people that you want to do for them. It is what the people say they want you to do for them. Every segment of the society, every sector, every area has their own area of interest. Take Ogun State, for instance. The people of Imala may be interested more, because I've done some researches all around the state. I am a consultant on political affairs. The people of Imala may tell you they want a road. There's a major link road that leads to Imala Township. It's an old road. You only see patches of the tar there. They will tell you they need road. They tell you they need market. The need for primary health center is there. And maybe electricity and all the rest. The people of Abeokuta South will not be agitating too much about roads, except for the roads that are yet to be finished. Not that they are not done, but they may be asking for street lights, potable water. Yes, water is running in some areas now. So they will be asking for things that are being used in the metropolis, particularly the electricity, street lighting, primary health center to be more expanded, schools to be more taken care of, and all the rest. So the demands may vary in some areas. So when you say you want to have a town hall meeting with them, it is what they want. Then when you now aggregate the opinion and look at it from the governance aspect of it, governance is not rocket science. Nobody can tell us that. You have a schedule, you have a memorandum, you have what you call your manifesto, which must compulsorily anyway coincide with the party's agenda, which you work on to drive you in governance through your policies. But if these things are not done with the interest of the people in mind, you see, there are different ways of doing town hall meetings anyway. Town hall meetings before election may be different from the town hall meetings you are having when you are in governance. And when you are in governance, it's not enough to say, I'm going to put everybody here in one place, like the Kuto Stadium, June 12 Cultural Center. You can also have an engagement with the people through the radio, synergized broadcast, where they ask questions. They tell you their area of interest. Please help us look into it. You may not be able to fulfill everything at a go, but the aggregated opinions that you collected can easily be handled by those lieutenants that works with you. Then you deliver it in batches. Then the time now comes for the communication aspect of it. Those you are able to do, people will see it and you tell them. The ones that are pending, you will be able to engage them. Even when they ask you questions, you can explain in details. Please, my people, we have challenges in terms of financing. We cannot do everything at this material time, but we are doing it in phases. These areas and this area, all aspects of the state or the federation will be taken care of, or particular local government will be taken care of. If you don't do this, you assume that whatever it is that you're doing will speak for itself or will speak for themselves. That is a serious problem.
But do you think the people still trust the government
enough
to believe that, okay, we don't have enough finances when there is not openness, So do people really trust the government?
Over the years, Nigerians have tended to not to trust so much people in power, because people in power also have not, exhibited the tendency to be trusted as much. When you are asking people to sacrifice, to tighten their belt, and we can see through, they are not opaque. You can see through them that these people that are asking us to sacrifice, it doesn't seem as if they are sacrificing as much. We are getting lean, they are getting pot belly. They are asking for these largesse. They are living large. If any of those in power, I am not shying away from any reality here, she will tell you they can feel your pain. They are lying. I'm not supposed to use that word. They are lying, because almost everything they have in governance is free of charge, except if they have to go to the toilet, that they do it by themselves. So they don't feel it. And it's on Commonwealth, on our tax paying, on our common resource that they are doing it. So people will now look at it and say, how can we trust this set of superintendents that we have, that they are really telling us the truth. Because when your books are not so open to be viewed by all concerned, they may not have interest in having trust in you, particularly when they are suspecting that some things might be going wrong. And most often it's universal. It's not only Nigeria. Governments mostly are not usually truthful. And that is what they call diplomacy. And that is why when they leave governance, their memoirs may take 10 to 20 years before they can write it. Because if they tell you some things at that material time they are in power, it will reverberate and cause problems. So most often we don't have truthfulness or trustworthiness from the people to the people, those who are superintending.
Okay, Dr. Oketokun, you talked about open communications, and I want you to tell us how government agencies can actually help. You know, the National Orientation Agency is one of such agencies, but unfortunately, we hardly hear from them. I read some time ago when one of the, shall I say, state coordinators or something said they do not have buses to move around. That's somehow, that was ridiculous to me. So in what way can government agencies actually help the government to bring back the trust in the people?
Thank you very much. You talked about National Orientation Agency, but before I talk about that, let me first of all talk about some of the issues that my friend ANIMASHAUN has raised. We talk about openness. Now, when you talk about government, government is assumed to be able to do everything for the people. That is the assumption. But the reality is that government cannot do everything for the people. But the truth of the matter going forward is that government must realize that there's a difference between promise and reality. And so it is that realization from the difference between reality and, promise and reality that should bring about openness. If you are unable to, if your budget is unable to do certain things that you have promised the people, you need to explain to the people that, look, this is the position, this is how much we have, and this is how much we are going to expend it, at least for now. The lack of openness sometimes in government creates that kind of disconnect when everybody believes that, the road in front of my house should have been done. And everybody wants one thing or the other from the government. So government and its agencies as well as government functionaries must begin to be very, very open in their communicating with the people. The lack of that openness is sometimes what is causing this. Secondly, you talked about NOAA. Fortunately, I was with NOAA when NOAA started, and I do know that we had access to virtually everything.
It started then as MAMSA.
As MAMSA, yes, MAMSA. We were in MAMSA then, with Baba Ishola Folonsho as our director then. Now,
Federal director.
Yes, yes. He was in Ogun State before he was moved to the national.
All right, Dr. LEKAN, sorry, I have to interject you. We have to go quickly go on this break, and there will be more to discuss on the topic of the week. Of this Friday edition of New Dawn or Tronjo. We'll join you very shortly. Stay with us.
We are thrilled to have you on board as we chart the course for our next chapter. We're inviting you to take up your rights in full for 19 Naira 75 kobo per share. From the 8th of July to 14th of August, take advantage of the chance to acquire one more ordinary share for every 2 shares in your portfolio. Visit www.theaccesscorporation.com to subscribe. Access Holdings, where financial solutions connect the world.
edified edition of Nidon Otonjo, and we have the two gentlemen in the house, Dr. LEKAN OKETOKUN, and of course, Alhaji ANIMASHAUN. So, Dr. OKETOKUN, you're talking about MAMSA, which metamorphosed into NOAA.
Yes, I was saying that at the beginning, when MAMSA started, before transmuting to NOAA, the facilities for doing that job was put in place by the administration. And MAMSA at that point in time was able to reach virtually everywhere. There was no community that MAMSA did not reach, because we had access to vehicles, we had access to public addresses, and all those things that will ensure that we communicate with the people. Money was there.
Without technology, technology was not.
No, the technology was not there, but we were using town criers and things like that when we went into those communities. And I must, you see, I can beat my chest that we reached all the many places I know today in Ogun State. I knew them because I worked with NOAA in Egbado South, Egbado North, and all those very far-flung places. We were able to reach those places because we had access to facilities to do the work, even though there was no social media then. But today, if you go to NOAA, I think it's only the state director that has access to a vehicle. All the offices, all the other local government offices don't have access to vehicles. And how do you move into various communities to propagate? Although you can say that today, because of social media, the need for going to all those places, but sometimes face-to-face communication.
I know about those communities that are without access
to social media. So those are some of the constraints that, and so NOAA as it is now, and some other agencies like that that are supposed to be helping government to communicate with the people effectively, they don't have the resources. Okay. And these are some of the challenges that go with communication when we talk about communicating government policies with the people. Okay. And this is very...
Okay, I like maybe I should quickly add something.
Okay, that's the one.
Do you know that at a point in time, I thought that maybe they should just scrap Ministry of Information and let NOAA be and enhance the capacity of NOAA. Go to Okemoson. Tell me, what has it been? That is federal, I'm not talking of state. What is it that you have discovered about the Federal Ministry of Information staffers in Ogun State? What have they been doing in the last few years? Quite some years back. It's only NOAA you hear of, and they are getting taxpayers' money as salary. Years past, they used to have Land Rovers with all this public address system I was talking of. I've followed them up to Waterside before on some monitoring exercise. But Federal Ministry of Information is no longer in existence. They are just collecting salary in Ogun State. I don't know of any other state anyway. It's only NOAA that you hear of. So what's the use? Why not merge them and let NOAA be?
Okay, well, Orasoye report is still there.
I hope we work on it
come out of that at the end of the day. Now let's look at it from this perspective again. Those in government, you said when the two of you agree that when they are about canvassing for votes, they engage citizens a lot, but when they get to government, that disconnection is there. But is it right for government that from incubation period of conceiving a project to the commissioning of it, to the inauguration and people begin to use it, that you need to constantly and regularly engage citizens so that of course there won't be any breakdown like we had the national protest that is ongoing, because that has brought a lot of disconnect between government and government, and that's why people are not getting some of the policies government have been backed on to know which is right, which is not right, so that they know how to decipher government activities and when to also ask government for things.
Exactly, it has to come in stages. Right from the foundational level, the way you as contenders for offices operated during the electioneering, if they are able to bring that level, that ferocious aspect of their campaigns, if they are able to translate it into governance, believe me, yes, it will have gone beyond this level to El Dorado. Because not only the fact that you'll be carrying the people along, because that's the key word, you've got to carry the citizens along. If you don't carry the citizens along, whatever it is that you are doing cannot speak for themselves. Some people will believe that, oh, I've been working, my work is all over the place, it's not like that. It's not enough to propagate through the TV. you must engage with them as well, concurrently, on a regular basis. You don't sit down in your cocoon and assume that things will fall in place for you. Your essays and PAs and everything may not be able to do it like the way you will handle it when you engage directly with the people. That is one aspect most of them are not understanding. Even if it's 1 year, once in a year, out of the 4-year term, you come out and say, citizens engagement, let them call it. Engage the state broadcast media. And every other person's lash onto it. It will go far and wide. More than perhaps sitting in one OGTV hall here and say you are doing a town hall meeting. That's what people are saying. Then by the time you do it in stages, from the foundational aspect, from governance up to the policy stage, you will have been consulting with them. It will not be as if you are doing things that you are forcing down their throats. And that is what brings about discord. People at the end of the day say, what is it that you are doing in power? And you'll be telling them, I've been working, I've been doing this. You don't need to shout at all. They will understand. Because the way the money is coming in, you have been explaining and doing this. Unfortunately, sometimes when some things come from federal to state, that's where the challenges can be as well. When you are not coming out to explain things, people assume that it's going through this way, through that way. Some of us saw some things that are coming from federal that are passing through some political levels in some states. Yes, we saw it, we hear the tapes, we know things that are going on. It shouldn't be through political patronage alone. It is because most of the things that comes from federal, I say most, possibly passes through political patronage. That is why the people are agitated, because the ordinary people on the streets are not feeling the vibes of this so-called Najis, or what do you call it? Palliatives. If they don't feel it, if it's only the political followership through the words that are feeling it, there will be outcry like this. But the political followership are also members of the public. They are members of the public, but they are first members of the but they are enjoying that opportunity because they are members of the political circuit in the words. That's the truth. Don't let us deceive ourselves. That is why we have this problem. Because the people are not feeling it. How many are they? Out of 200 million Nigerians, what is the number of our votes? What are the numbers of those who are registered? Do they represent up to half of Nigerians? You may be talking of those that are under pressure, what do you call them? The people who need the palliatives the most. The downtrodden? The downtrodden, the unfortunate, there's this word that we use. IDPs? No. Those who... No. During the COVID, we use this word. I usually forget it. Those who really need the palliative more than some of us. I will remember it. You know? So it's always like that. Let people feel the effect of governance more than those in the political circuit. And let government come out most often, particularly the principal in government, to explain things to us, not just address. Because addressing people is different from listening to them. When you listen to the people's needs and opinions, you may not be able to deliver everything. Are you getting me? But you will have a cumulative summary. It will help you in governance. It shouldn't be so difficult. Government is not rocket science. People will say, it's because you are not there. Have you been tested before? Do you know what it takes? No. It should be as it is that is what is the role, in what way does language barriers in all of this? The if mode of communication in Nigeria is English, and even during the presidential broadcast it was English. So I want to believe that the people that need to hear these things, the so-called hoodlums, the market women, the artisans and others, at the end of the day, there is likely to be a kind of misinformation. So how can the government break the barrier when it comes to language?
Well, when you talk about language, you see, when you talk about communication generally, when you communicate, the essence of communication is because you want people to hear you, to understand what you are saying. So any communication that is not understood, either through language or whatever, is not communication. So it is very crucial that when people, although English is our national official language, But the truth of the matter is that if the president, we can't expect the president or the governor to speak all the languages when they communicate. But there are agencies of government that are supposed to break those things down into the local languages, so that everybody...
Maybe you take this along with that question as you respond.
Okay.
We saw what happened just in May, that we have to now take back the old national anthem to make it the new national anthem now. And yet, to me, I told somebody, I said, by now I expected federal government agencies, particularly NUA, Ministry of Information, to have a small booklet of Yoruba language, Igbo language, Hausa language, being circulated all over Nigeria, so that thing can get percolate to the grassroots here. Well,
unfortunately, in the grassroots, the issue of national anthem does not worry them much. So it is what is on the table. But I get the point you are trying to. I get the word I'm looking for is vulnerable. Vulnerable. Yes, thank you. So I get the point you are trying to make. The truth of the matter is that any government communication to the people must be understood by the people themselves. If you communicate and people don't understand what you are saying, then you have not communicated. And this is where the issue of armchair governance comes in. Today, the field is so wide that you cannot be an armchair government. An armchair government is government that sits in the office and then says everything in the office and believes that it has percolated to the grassroots. No, you must be on the field all the time. That's why you have so many aides. People don't expect to see the governor every day. Even when they expect it, the governor cannot be everywhere on the same day. But he has aides. Government or people, governors, president, must now begin to empower their aides to go to the grassroots. Sometimes some of these aides are not empowered, I must tell you. They are just appointed, and some of them will say, I have appointed you to come and eat. So anything I give you, that is it. So they are hampered. They are hampered by that lack of incentive to go out. So when you employ aides, look at the number of aides that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has on information, on strategy, on media, and whatever. And one of the things that even is apparent in all this is that some of them are even contradicting themselves. Of course. On major government policies. We saw it during this crisis. So you see, so that is one of the things that cause all the, if there is a disconnect even within government itself, how much more do you expect the government, the people? So that is one of the things. When you appoint people to positions, empower them, give them the tools to do the job. You can't employ 5 media aides and all of them are just sitting in the office. None of them has even been on the field, except when the governor himself wants to go somewhere, then they follow him. That's not the way to do the job. Okay, I like your they come back to the overzealous sometimes. A lot of people did not vote for them because their argument sometimes can be that we are the aides, we should be able to speak for our principal. But the principal is the one we voted for, not the aides. And some of them can be overzealous sometimes. Okay, I like your sometimes trying to overprotect the principal. But the governed, that is, we the people too. We equally have a role to play. Well, of course, I mentioned it the other time, the participatory governance. I mentioned it at the initial stage, that you don't have to assume that simply because you voted people into power, then that is the end of it. They call it democracy. In Yoruba land, they say, Ijoba Warawa. You have to be participatory in governance. Every one of us cannot sit down in that governor's seat or everywhere in governor's office or presidential office. But from your own end, thank God that even the social media is there now. And most often the aides and even some of the governors, and I say some of the governors are on some social media networks that they do see the threads, the lines of what people are saying. I know of a governor in this state before that got serious information from the social media in the state, that even on Fridays, I'm told you I'm a consultant. Even on Fridays, he will ask for some radio programming to listen to it over the weekend.
those are the places you get the raw information of what is happening on the street. You've got to be streetwise. If you are a governor or president, of course you cannot be everywhere every day. Your aides will have to do it. But the point is, your aides are not the ones voted for. There are times that you yourself have to engage directly with the people to feel their vibes. Sometimes through the social media, you try to read. You don't feel bad when they engage you. They are engaging you, they are not criticizing you. It's nothing bad in criticizing a government anyway, as long as you do it pragmatically, constructively. You have to engage them. They should be happy that what they are unable to get from their aides, they are getting it from the street. That's why I say you have to be streetwise. But when you sit down in your cocoon and you assume that everything is okay, I'm all in all, then by the time you feel the backlashes, you feel as if they hate you. Meanwhile, nobody gets to power without doing anything. You are working. Some people know that you are working. But some others may think, oh, what's he doing there? He's not doing anything. Okay. It's not possible for anybody to be in power not to do anything he's doing. But because what you are doing, people are not feeling it much, or you are not engaging to explain some variables, then it is assumed.
But for the presidency has engaged, to the best of my knowledge.
Now, even before the engaged through addressing.
Before the national protest that is still around.
He has engaged through addressing, just like some other governors.
Okay, so even the policies.
Now, please.
From Dr. Oketo.
Now, I just want to contribute to what ANIMASHAUN has just said. Now, sometimes some of the things that happen in government sometimes create the disconnect. And I'll give you an example. He has rightly alluded to it. You are telling people to sacrifice. You are telling people to do this.
Tighten their
belt. And yet, you don't see the same kind of belt tightening in people in governance. But nobody is saying that they should be wearing rags.
About the 265 House of Rep members have said they are donating their 50% of their annual salary.
And that's where I'm coming. The role of the legislature and all of these things. You see, unfortunately, the legislature sometimes they do not understand. Those in the legislature do not understand really that they are the arm of government that is responsible for making democracy tick. Without the legislature, there is no democracy. They are supposed to be the people's representative. And everything they do must reflect that they are in line with what the people want. But if you go, especially in Africa, and examine the role of legislatures, you will discover that sometimes the legislature creates problem for even the whole government itself. We have had the issue of 160 million naira jeeps, SUVs for legislatures. And look at the lifestyle of some of our members of the legislature. I'm not absorbing the members of the executive in this, because whatever is provided for members of the legislature, you have even more with the members of the executive. But they are an organic unit. People focus on them because they call themselves National Assembly. There are 360 in the House of Reps and 109 in the Senate. So as an organic unit, people see what they do more every day than even what they see in the president. The pronouncement of some of these people, the way they engage the people. Some of them, when the press engages them to explain certain things, what comes out of their mind or their mouth does not indicate that they have a sense of responsibility to what is going on. And I'll give you an example. When this controversy about 160 million naira SUVs was very strong.
The guy that said the road to his village is bad.
The one that came to defend that policy said what do you expect? After all, Nigerian roads are bad. As if it is another road that every other person Nigerian applies on. You understand? So these are some of the disconnect. And when people hear that, sometimes they don't even want to hear any other thing. They just make up their mind that, oh, these people have lost it. And those are some of the things. So people in government must ensure that they desist from things that will alienate them from the people they are governed. That is very key.
Okay, all right. So does that mean that protest, strike, and the likes of that should be the only weapon that the government must take to the street to say, okay, we want to call your attention to certain things, certain anomalies?
Actually, it shouldn't be even the first. If it has to come at all, it must be the last resort. Last resort, even that it's going to be, should not be violent. But unfortunately, it's extraordinarily difficult to make sure that a protest will not be riotous, will not go violent. Coincidentally, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, who happens to be the Grand Master of protests, without any comma, is the Grand Master, not only of protests or sponsorship, as confirmed by Senator Shehu Sani, former Senator Shehu Sani of Kaduna State. He was involved in a very, very serious one. By the time they were in the bunkers, we knew his capacity. But the one of 2012, they were able to do it, and it didn't turn violent because they restricted it. Before it gets violent, they called it off. That's where I'm going. It's difficult to have a protest that will not go violent. But the moment they discovered that they were about to be infiltrated or it would go violent, they stopped it. But it achieved its purpose there of the non-removal of subsidy and good governance and all those things.
So that will automatically bring government closer.
You can use protest as the last resort. If you say you won't use it, it's a lie. Don't let us deceive ourselves. You cannot beat a child and you ask that child not to cry. People can see through, like what my dear wonderful Dr. OKETOKUN is saying here. They see through the governance, because sometimes the government thinks people cannot know what we are doing. They don't know. It's when we tell them now, and about suffering money, you know, forgetting that some of us are documenting, even not everybody is documenting, not to talk of everybody.
Everybody who have access to social media now, you can
know things that are going on,
to know the allocation.
If anything is going on in government, you will know. If anybody is making a decision and telling you are going to do this, some of us know that you are not supposed to do it. I don't want to go to that level now. I know something is going on in Oak.
Okay, but going forward,
talk about going forward. But the point now is going forward. Going forward now, you should be responsible and responsive in governance, like I started with. Communication, participatory governance, and responsible and responsive governance. So it cuts across the whole spectrum, everybody. Those who are superintending over us, and those of us who are the followers, the voters, the electorate, the people, right to the basement, to the village level. We have to feel the real sincerity of governance. If you don't feel it, you will cry. You will agitate. Inevitably, some people will come up to say they are going to, demonstrate. They are going on the street. That's what brought about the situation we are in now. So it is incumbent in capital word, capital letter, on those in power to make sure they deliver according to their promises. Through their policy statements, the budgeting, delivery of budgeting, delivery of programs that must necessarily coincide with their manifesto and your agenda in government for the progress of growth and development. If you fail to do that, it could be counterproductive.
Thank you. Dr. OKETOKUN, let's have your take on way forward.
Well, the way forward is what ANIMASHAUN has said, and that's good governance. When you look at some of the things that are included in good governance, all the things that ANIMASHAUN has said, participatory, accountability, rule of law, and all those things. Now, the bottom line is that the people are the engine room of democracy, and everything that we do must be centered on the people.
So they must consult the people.
They must consult the people regular consultation. You can't ignore the people and have good governance. It's not possible.
It's just not possible.
It's not possible. So the people must be the focus. And when you make people the focus of your government, even when you are not doing everything for them, they can understand. The attempt by government to alienate people, to say their opinions do not matter sometimes, is what causes some of the challenges that we have today. A right-thinking person knows that government cannot do everything.
Of course not.
But you need to engage them, because the expectation is that they are voted into office to solve their problems. And once that is taken, it is incumbent on you or any government to ensure that whatever it does, the people are at the center of discourse.
All right, thank you very much. This is a topic that we can't just exhaust in 1 hour, but we still believe that maybe in the course of the year, we'll still have cause to come back if we see the level of progress as what democratic governance is in Nigeria, and so that we can begin to shaping things out, so that government will begin to listen to the government and enjoy their input as well too. Follow their input, make use of those inputs, so that government can be so simplified and everybody will go back home and sleep with 2 eyes closed. We can't thank you enough, our 2 guests in the house, for this Friday edition of New Talk. Dr. LEKAN OKETOKUN is a lecturer with the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, and of course, Alhaji ANIMASHAUN is a social-political philosopher, equally an entrepreneur who has also contributed immensely to the topic of the day. We thank both of you for finding time to be with us.
It's pleasure here.
All right. I'm today Shureke. We'll keep following the piece of most, but from my colleague as well too.
Well, engage the people and not alienate them. That's the takeaway for today. I am Mojisola Shalaja. Thanks for being here. Join us again on Monday. Goodbye.